All right, video from Tectone, sent in by Requiem Vanguard. Shout out to you, brother. Why everyone is leaving VTuber agencies. Let's hear this. Let's hear this. This man talk.
One of the most
Is he
important videos
cooking or
I've
is
ever
he not cooking?
made. I've pre-watched 1 minute of this, and I'm going to go back and re-record because this is very important to me. Let's talk about this.
This is most likely the only time I'm going to address these kinds of things. I want to be very clear that I am okay. All right, I want to be very clear.
In case you guys don't know, Madara-kun and Vishojo have announced their parting ways.
This is not a pity party. I'm sorry that I'm sounding a little bit monotone. It's because I just woke up. Honestly, I'm just nervous because I don't want to say anything that's going to be
This is just a reaction video. Hold on.
Or a non-disparagement agreement. And what this means is that Vishojo essentially gets the okay on whatever it is she's going to say. They have to agree upon what she's going to say about her experience. Okay. Now, an NDA does not prevent the admission of crimes. So if Vishojo or Madara-kun were to have committed crimes towards one another, they would be able to talk about it through an NDA because you cannot use an NDA to cover up a crime. There's a thing called the Speak Out Act, which prevents people from doing so. And that's very important to note because the internet always thinks you can do that. You cannot do that.
I believe.
I mean, I don't know whether that's true or not. I don't know if that's international or not. I don't know if that accounts for wherever, because Madara, I mean, last time I checked, she was a citizen outside of the U.S. anyway. So what her laws and jurisdiction dictate, I have no idea. But we're going to fast forward that. We're going to go to this part where he actually gives his opinion.
Everything else doesn't really matter. I'm going to tell you guys the cold, honest truth. Okay? So first of all, Madara-kun got let go from Vishojo, is what it is. And now we can confirm the existence that the parties of members of organizations are underneath NDAs. And the reason why that's very important is because I always attempt to speak out on Gargura, talking about why it's important to have people outside of the space talk about the space, because if you don't, you are going to get a rose-tinted glasses of the reality of the situation. Every single member of these girls are underneath NDAs, right? Of course. This just means they can only talk in pretty language. And behind the scenes, things are a lot uglier, right? This is why I really wanted to talk more about the beach.
I gotta hear this because he's speaking like he knows something bad is going on. Like, there's a difference between something that could be, let's say, legally whatever, or it's like, hey, I want to go do my own thing. Let's go ahead and separate, which is what I would look at the perspective of, hey, like Fauna, Gargura, Madara, they all want to go do something different, so they're separating. Tectone making it sound like somebody did some illegal shit, so I'm confused already.
VTubing space. That, and I've been heavily involved with the VTuber community for about 4.5 years now. Here's what you guys need to know. And there's nothing wrong with this. I want to make this very clear. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being underneath an NDA. However, you guys just have to understand and learn how to read between the lines, because the girls are going to say things in a prettier way that you have to be like, okay, so they said this and this is what that means. And things can get pretty muddied pretty quick. But one, let more people talk about the behind the scenes things of these companies and industries. And I'm sorry to tell you guys this, but organizations for VTubing, they're scummy. They are. And
that's a big
I'm
claim,
gonna be real.
brother.
They're worth short term, but they're not worth long term. And I'm going to explain to you why that is.
I mean, I would agree with that. In general, like ever since I came into the community and understood what like the concept of a corpo and an indie was, I'm always pro indie, right? You get to do your own thing, say whatever you want, and you get to make all of the money, and then you can funnel that into your own career. You just join the corpo so you can actually get some clout, so you can get your foot into the door, so you can get eyes on you, and then those eyes observe you, and if they enjoy you, they'll probably follow you when you get out.
As a guy, where I'm going to be real, I 1,000,000% considered opening up my own VTubing agency about 2 years ago. I'm not going to say why, but I did consider it because for real streamer orgs, the talent get paid a lump sum amount of money. They get a lot of free services and a lot of free guarantees and deals that they otherwise wouldn't get.
OTK.
I was an OTK for 2.5 years, 3 years. My contract expired.
And
I
then
decided to not renew.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Doing his own
now,
thing.
let's talk about the ugly truth on why a lot of creators should just, for lack of a better term, if you've made it, you should leave your org. Yep. You should.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Like, the only reason why you would stay with the org or stay with the company would be for the loyalty or you just enjoy working with the company. That's it. At the end of the day, you'd always be more successful doing things on your own versus the company if you are already successful. That being said, being with a company can just make it easier for things to happen. Say you want to have a concert. Well, if you're working with a company or you have a sponsor, they can do all of the hard work when it comes to paperwork, filing, distribution, merchandise, all this other extra stuff they can do because they have the supplies and the demand for that already. Versus you and indie, you're going to have to start making these deals on your own. You're going to have to go get these contracts signed on your own. And all that takes a lot of time.
Creator has been in an org for 2 years and they blew up. They should leave. 100%. And Madara-kun leaving VShojo is a massive W.
I love how he calls Madara-kun Madara-kun.
Gargura leaving Hololive is a massive fucking W. And if you don't think so now,
W Senzawa.
I'm going to explain to you why that is the case going forward. Okay, so let's talk about absolutely everything. Number one is the rule of diminishing returns.
That is real.
Every single
that is
time
absolutely
you
real.
collab with a new creator, every single time you debut on a new platform, you are going to never get as much benefit or clout as you did since the first time. So after Matsuda-kun does one Mousy stream, a collab with Mousy, she might get 2,000 followers. Her second one, she might get 800. The third one, you might get 400. On the fifth one, you might get 100. This goes in law with every single creator on the platform, which is why a lot of creators will reach out to you, get the collab once, and then you'll never, ever see them again.
Yeah, a lot of people do that. In general, right, they'll do the collab to get their buzz up. And then that's it. That means you can understand that that person maybe only wanted to work with you for that specific reason, to get clout or to get the buzz. But it could also be your guys' schedules don't line up anymore. And that's just could be the normal case. Maybe you guys chat here and there. But it's not necessarily, oh, they only wanted to do the collab and then never see you again. But there, for sure, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that are like that.
Because they got that big initial boom, bada bing, bada boom. You got it, you scooped it, you're out of there. The biggest chance for the most benefit is the very first time. Now, let's talk about the other thing. For real streamer orgs, we get paid a salary, we get benefits, we get deals, we get extra help behind the scenes. For VTubing agencies, well, what do you get? Almost none of them pay you money. Almost none of them. Almost every org will say, you join us, and that's helping you. Because a lot of orgs, like Hololive, that is the case. Hololive is a VTubing agency where they give you an identity, they'll build you up, they'll build you a career, and then when you leave, they keep that identity.
Yep.
I think it's pretty scummy. I do. I think it's pretty scummy because at the end of the day, you're working in tandem. However, idol culture in Japan is the exact same way, so a lot of people let it go by the wayside, but me personally, I disagree with it.
Okay, so let me rewind that and break that down for a little bit, because I can understand the perspective. You can say it's scummy. Oh, you guys should be working together. Why do they keep the identity? But the other perspective on why Hololive keeps its identity is because they do, even though like the idols and the girls be saying some wild stuff, they still say wild stuff underneath that umbrella of Hololive. Now say Senzawa gets to keep Gargura, and now we have Gargura in the indie world, and for some reason, the person behind Gargura becomes a radicalist, and they start talking about a whole bunch of other stuff unrelated to what Hololive is doing when it comes to IRL. Well, then there's a brand and a conflict of issues, a bunch of issues, a lot of unforeseen issues if they let Senzawa keep Gargura. And then she decided to say, oh yeah, I'm not going to say anything crazy and extreme, but imagine something crazy and extreme for yourself, because I'm not going to say it. So that would be conflicting, because now we have all this other footage of Hololive and Gargura doing this stuff. And now she's over here saying all this, even though she's no longer aligned with Hololive, she still has that brand identity with Hololive, and now she's doing other things. The thing with VShojo, what makes them special and why they allow people to keep their indies and stuff like that, at the end of the day, VShojo is more of a sponsor, bro. Like, When I think of VShojo, I'm thinking about the girls in the streams and stuff, which nowadays I hear they're trying to switch more into being more, like they want to grow more, basically. So they're trying to, I guess, go down more of the HoloLive route when it comes to sponsorships and going out and promoting and collabing, which will be very interesting when they have this these contracts maybe later on in the year. Some people might not get to keep their identities that they maybe help build and create with VShojo due to the fact of what I said, because that is a big liability for something that they can no longer control, right? All of these people that are working underneath a company are liability. If you work for Amazon, you're a liability. If you work for whatever, you're a liability, but at least you're underneath their umbrella and they still have that control over you, versus you leave, but you still have the Amazon uniform, and now you're going out saying, oh yeah, we selling drugs or whatever, blase blase, shooting guns with the Amazon uniform on. It'll make a bad brand image for them, which is why they take the identity away. But I can understand, you can see why it's scummy. Like, you help building the company just for the company to keep what helped them grow. It is what it is. You know, it's going to be very tricky regardless, but I can understand all the perspectives of it.
Pretty scummy, because at the end of the day, you're working in tandem. However, idol culture in Japan is the exact same way, so a lot of people let it go by the wayside, but me personally, I disagree with it. These people are these characters. You built these characters together. With them leaving, they should at least be able to keep their identity. That's my opinion. However, there also is a massive benefit, because as long as these girls let it be known that they're graduating, but they're coming back soon, then they'll get a new debut for hopefully a new, better character, and they'll get the even increased audience of all the notoriety they built up in these companies, plus the initial burst from their debut.
Of course.
So that's the one thing that I don't like.
Bro, speaking in Genshin Impact terms,
there's a pros and cons. It's a gray area. One, they give you an identity that you both get to build up. But two, if you ever decide to leave, you're going to lose that identity. VShojo doesn't do this. You have to come in with your own identity, and I think that's great personally. It's not black and white, it's very gray. Now, let's talk about the other thing. A lot of these companies were also going to take revenue from the girls and their talent. They're going to take money from their subs. They're going to take money from their sponsors. And while a lot of ad agencies do that, where whenever they bring you a sponsor, they're going to take anywhere from 10 to 20%, because without them, you wouldn't have got those sponsors. Having an additional cut that you lose on top of that just because you're part of the org,
doesn't matter.
I think that's a little bit ridiculous. I think that's pretty shady, and I don't think that's something that you should do. I feel like the money that these creators make should be theirs. Now, if HoloLive or Niji Sanji, these companies who give these girls their identity want to take a certain cut, well, sure, I can see how you might want to allow that, but I think the cut's a little bit too high. But for companies like VShojo...
Bro, Niji Sanji's cut is way too high. I'm not sure what HoloLive's is, but I would wager it's on the end of the 10 to 20% range, which, again, bro, I mean, if you look at YouTube in general, YouTube takes a cut of your revenue. If you're working with a company, that's going to take a cut of your revenue. But if you're getting a sponsorship on behalf of somebody else, which there are companies that do that, there are legitimate companies. You can be an indie YouTuber. You work with this company will get you the sponsor, and they will take 10% because they got you the sponsor. You're going to be getting money regardless. Should you get all of the money because somebody else got the sponsor for you? Absolutely not. You wouldn't have had the money to begin with. But yeah, people are gonna have to eat, bro. That's just how it is, man. If you want to make more money, you're probably gonna have to share some of that money with somebody else, because somebody else helped you get the money, bro. That's just how life works, bro. Banks do that shit all the time.
And obviously, I can't speak on every company practice, and I'm going to say I'm not sure what any of these companies do, and I'm just merely speculating. But I think it's ridiculous where a company could say, yeah, we want some of your sub money. Yeah, we want some of your sponsor money. I think that's fucking ridiculous.
I can see the perspective.
So when these girls leave, one, they get a massive boost for their initial debut, and as long as they nail it, they'll have a career that will never be taken monetarily from ever again, and they have their own identity, and they have their own build structure for them to live on in perpetuity. I know graduations might seem sad for a lot of people.
Nowadays, it's less sad.
Don't be sad. Be supportive. Be there the next time they go live. Assure them that no matter where they go, you will follow them. Whether Snuffy is a raccoon or an alligator or a frog or a hog.
I like raccoons more.
Whatever they re-debut as, you'll be there. Obviously, Snuffy's a fucking an independent VTuber. She came to my mind because of her fucking massive fucking boobs have been on my fucking mind from her original model. I'm not gonna lie, that model's ridiculous. Gura, as long as you ensure Gura that whether she's a shark or a hawk or a snail or a frog, whenever she comes back, just let her know that you're not sad, you're supportive, and you'll always be there for them. Getting out of these agencies will always be the best thing, because then you get all of the money and all of the support goes directly to the creators that you want to support. And I think a lot of people will be much happier knowing that. When you go to a restaurant and you have a great experience with a waiter, don't you feel better when that tip goes directly to them rather than split amongst everybody in the entire restaurant? Well, the rest of the restaurant didn't provide you with that great waiting experience, just this one waiter did. And
but then you could say, what about the chef that made the food? Right? So there's definitely a caveat, right? Like, sure, the waiter brought you the food. They were nice to you. They smiled in your face. They gave you a great performative experience. But it took the entire team to bring the experience to you. It's not just the waiter, which is why I've always had a bit of an issue when it's like, the only person that gets tips is the wait staff, but the chef is out there sweating their ass off making the food.
That being said, I completely disagree with American tipping culture. I think it's fucking retarded. However, it's one of those things that are necessary because that's the way our society's been built on, and I don't know. I think it's fucking garbage, but I hate it. Anyways, just wanted to provide some clarity on why it's a great thing that Madara-kun.
Wait, so what was the point of bringing up the analogy if you don't even like the whole purpose of the analogy anyway? Nah, bro, that doesn't even make any sense, bro. What the fuck?
It's leaving me shoujo. And how independent VTubers are great, and you should be happy. I mean, I'll be real. These girls, and I'm just gonna be real. This is
okay, bro, be real.
This is what every VTuber should do. Join an org, get clouded, leave. Because once you get the initial burst, there is no reason to be a part of these orgs ever again.
Besides loyalty.
Unless they're paying you hella stacks, right?
Or you enjoy the company.
Unless they're not taking shit from you, get
or
the clout.
Or you enjoy the coworkers, you enjoy the experience, you enjoy the luxuries of being with the company, you enjoy the prestige. Or if you only care about money, yeah, sure.
Get big and leave.
Sure.
Brand loyalty is retarded. Company loyalty's fucking retarded. You got to understand, I am very pro-consumer, very pro-creator, and I am just telling you the uncomfortable truth. These girls don't need these fucking agencies at all.
For sure, they don't.
They don't.
They don't.
They fucking don't. They do not. Do what Fillian's doing. Make these events yourself.
See, the crazy part is, when I hear this stuff like forget like brand loyalty, it's stupid. Forget loyalty in general. That creates more of a dog eat dog mentality, because now everybody's independent and now everybody only cares about themselves. Which, again, like you said earlier, people are going to collab for one time and then never again. And then we're going to have more people that are going to be like Cinder. We're going to have more people out here that only care about themselves, that only want to grow their stuff, that don't care about growing anything else besides themselves. But there's something ingrained in humans, in humanity, that makes people want to join causes that are bigger than themselves. That people join the military because it's bigger than just them. People that join GoFundMe and other nonprofits because it's bigger than themselves. It's not always about I. That is ego. That's all that is I, me. Consume. And you just spiral into depravity and you stay in samsara. And you wonder why. Why is everybody flipping on each other? Why is everybody backstabbing each other? Why does everybody only care about themselves? Because you just said get rid of loyalty. Loyalty is bro. If you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go together. We are a tribal species. We need to be together. We should have loyalty. We should have more loyalty. In fact, it doesn't mean blind loyalty. If you're being loyal to somebody and they turn on you, you should absolutely leave. But that doesn't mean you are a bad person for being loyal. That just shows what type of person they were. I understand the perspective coming from Tectone, but this is also someone that is very, very comfortable and very, very privileged. Now, I'm saying that's a bad thing whatsoever. But this this perspective, what you're getting right here, there's going to be more people like this if you listen to what this person is saying. Whether it's good or bad is subjective. It's always subjective, and it's always has been. Coming from somebody that studies philosophy, studies psychology, studies religion, studies God, follows all these things to the best of their abilities, has meaningful connections and relationships, not just online, but in real life, I'm here to let you know, if you only listen to Tectone and don't have any other perspective, there are going to be more people that are going to be in this world blind and only care about themselves and care about the material world, when there is more to life than that. But let's continue.
Talk to Mythic Talent. They'll help you do that shit. And like, they're great. I'll be real. I honestly think every VTuber should be in Mythic Talent, by the way. Oh, here's a great thing. If you're a VTuber and you want to join Mythic Talent, DM me. I'll get you in immediately. Or any creator.
Favors.
I got you. Right. They're great. And they're.
But why be loyal to them? If you just said loyalty, it doesn't matter. Why join Mythic? What's the point of joining Mythic? Where you join and then you get the clout and then you leave. Remember, like, the things that are coming out of this guy's mouth, you're gonna have to hold this, right? And I'm not saying his perspective is wrong. I'm just saying his perspective is very dangerous, and it's a very slippery slope. If every single person only joins something only for their benefit just to leave, nobody will trust anybody. And you know what that happens? The people that are already at the top will be less lenient to actually share the little that they do share. Why do you think so many millionaires and billionaires don't care about other people? Because they made that wealth only caring about themselves. No surprise, these people aren't sharing. They never shared to begin with. Yet we are the ones, the consumers, that put them in that place of power. And I get it, we're talking about VTubers, but we're also talking about companies, and we're talking about lives, and we're talking about human beings. It's always deeper than this surface level bullshit. And it always has been, and it always will be. I'm not upset at Tectone, but this is a guy that has constantly said things that just went off of ego. He needs to get more in touch with himself. From an outside perspective, Tectone, you need to get more in touch with yourself. You need to probably take a step back from the online world and constantly just sharing opinion after opinion after opinion without really feeling out the words, feeling out the energy that you are giving into the world, to these hundreds, maybe even thousands of people in this live chat, the thousands of people that watch this video. But who am I to judge?
Willing to help creators, and you're pretty much not going to get anything more out of any other company than you get with Mythic regardless, and they're not going to fucking take your fucking sub revenue. Anyways, that's just my opinion. Don't be happy, be supportive. I wish Madara-kun and Gargura nothing but the best, and I know they're going to do great, and I'll see y'all later. Like, comment, subscribe.
Man, it's videos like this that make me understand that there is a lack of understanding in this world. And the more I see it, the more I feel like I need to make a stand. It's absolutely wild, the video I just saw. Like, legitimately is some of the craziest shit that I've heard come out of this guy's mouth. And it's not that it was necessarily terrible, right? Some points did make sense. Like, if you're legitimately wondering what you should do for your VTuber career, you should join an org, you should join an agency, get the clout, and then leave. But if you are enjoying being in the company, being with the other people, the other talents, the other human beings that help represent what that is, you should stick with them. You should stick with it, right? Of course, it's on a case-by-case basis, but I'd say give it your best, bro. The old U.S. Army motto was be the best you can be. I don't know why they got rid of it, and I don't know why Google got rid of don't be evil. There's a lot of bad things going on in the world, and if we're gonna make them better, we actually need to understand who we are as individuals and come together as a collective to make a difference, to make a change. To say join Mythic after saying, oh yeah, you should join something and then leave, fuck brand loyalty, it doesn't even make sense. It sounds like you're being loyal to Mythic. Why are you being loyal to them? Because they treated you well, they did something good for you. Everybody should be treating everybody well and doing good things for each other. But I'm just an optimist, man. Thank you guys for watching the video. Shout out to Requiem Vanguard. That's my thoughts, feelings, and opinions on this. And I hope you guys stay blessed, man. Go with God. Have a good day. Bye-bye.